In ancient Greece, wars weren't only fought with spears and shields. Sometimes the most powerful weapons were unseen, whispers, shadows, and the fear of invisible force. Today we are diving into a mysterious world of the coast armies of ancient Greece, a fascinating yet lesser-known strategy used by the ancient Greek city-states to terrify their enemies. But this army wasn't made of flesh and blood, it was something far more sinister, something psychological. The ancient Greeks were master strategists, constantly coming up with new ways to gain the upper hand in the battle. They understood that fear could be as powerful a weapon as any sword or spear. Enter the coast army, a force that didn't need to actually exist, to spread chaos and dread. By creating rumors, spreading false information and planting seeds of terror, the Greek generals and the leaders were able to make their enemies believe they were facing not only soldiers but an army of spirits or gods sent from the underworld. This psychological tactic was especially effective in a world where belief in gods, spirits, and supernatural forces was strong. In Greek mythology, the underworld or Hades was a place filled with spirits of the dead, and the Greeks genuinely feared that these souls could escape and walk the earth. The ghost armies played on those fears, amplifying the supernatural beliefs of the time to instill terror in the hearts of the enemy. So, how did the Greeks create the illusion of a ghost army? It often started with rumors. Soldiers and spies would spread word in enemy territory that an invisible divine force was approaching. Whispered warnings of phantom warriors and invincible shades would reach the ears of soldiers and civilians alike, seeding fear before the real battle even began. Sometimes they take it a step further by staging eerie occurrences near enemy camps. Imagine hearing strange noises in the dead of the night, or seeing distant figures illuminated by torches in the fog. In some cases, Greek soldiers would even wear unusual armor or paint themselves to appear otherworldly in dim light, reinforcing the illusion that they were spirits, not humans. These soldiers would often be stationed on hills or in dense woods, where their faint outlines and movements in the shadows created just enough visibility to convince the enemy that they were facing a supernatural force. There are several recorded instances in ancient Greek history where similar tactics were used. In the Peloponnesian War, both Athens and Sparta utilized various forms of psychological warfare. While there are no direct accounts of ghost armies, as we'd see in Ghost Story, ancient texts suggest that armies would use darkness, deception, and unusual noises to throw off and demoralize their opponents. The fear of divine retribution or ghostly intervention was a powerful tool, especially when facing an enemy with strong superstitious beliefs. One example is the famous Battle of Marathon, where Athenian forces managed to convince the vastly larger Persian army that they were protected by the gods, even suggesting that invisible forces were aiding them in the battle. This led to confusion and fear among Persian soldiers who felt they were not only up against men, but also supernatural forces. While the ghost army might sound like pure myth or folklore, its roots in psychological warfare are very real. The concept of using fear to break an enemy's resolve has influenced military tactics throughout history. Ancient Greek leaders understood the power of perception, that sometimes the mind could be an even more dangerous battlefield than the one beneath their feet.